Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bitter Rivals podcast. I am Avery. This is Gitano. This is episode 51. And we are 1 day away, 1 day in about 4 hours at this time. It's 11 o'clock a.m. right now on Sunday. We're about 1 day and 4 hours. It's a 3 o'clock trade deadline, right?
Pretty sure 3 o'clock.
So, yeah. We're coming up on it. Lots of things have happened already. We've got the Giroux move done. Lindholm, sorry.
Giroux, Lindholm, Chiarot, and Manson, I think, are the big ones.
Those are the big ones so far.
Hagel.
Oh, Brandon Hagel. Yes, that is the other big one. There are a few names left on the table that a lot of people see moving. One of them is being Gitano. Another one, not for sure, but a lot of people can see Jacob Chychrun potentially moving. There's been a lot of talk about the Leafs with a defenseman. I think it's Middleton in San Jose. There's been a lot of connection with the Leafs and Middleton in San Jose. So
big week. Big 24-ish hours coming up, 27 hours.
28 hours. And I think we're all very interested to see what happens here. Montreal already obviously made their big move, shipping Chiarot out of town. What was the return for that one, if you don't mind reminding me?
So prospect Tyler Smilanic, a 2023 first round pick and a 2022 fourth round pick. So we'll get into more of the details a little later, but I'll just say I'm going to miss Big Ben in Montreal. He was great for the couple years he was here.
Yeah.
He
He took lots of penalties that weren't called in a certain playoff series last year that I
don't hate the player, hate the game.
Oh, I do.
I know you do. So you want to start off with the Heritage Classic?
Yeah, I guess we should start off where we left off last week. Heritage Classic was an absolute dumpster fire. Literally nothing good came from that game. Peter Mrazek still sucks.
Yep.
We got clapped in front of thousands of people. And then Auston Matthews took the only suspension of his career. A 2-game suspension. No, it'll be the only suspension of his career. Want to know how I know that? Is because I missed the fucking game that he was suspended for. So I goddamn well know it's going to be the only suspension of his career. Because that's how my luck works.
Oh, now you got an excuse to go to another game.
Yeah. Anyway, he does take a 2-game suspension exactly 2 games before I am attending a Toronto Maple Leafs game. It was okay. I made a fun sign. Free Poppy. It was good. But
you guys got clapped by the Sabres.
That was pretty embarrassing, and it wasn't entirely on Peter Mrazek. The team didn't play very good in front of him, but by God, is he a non-option. Like, he is an actual... If I have to watch that man play a playoff game, I am going to pull my hair clean out of my head, all of it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pretty. I'm going to be...
For the people listening, he's got a lot of hair.
Yes. So... Yeah, no, that wasn't good. They did follow it up, though, with back-to-back wins. One against the Dallas Stars, and then one against the Carolina Hurricanes, which was honestly probably one of the top 5 highlights of my life, was watching that game live, to be entirely honest with you. I'll just leave it at that. But the real story out of those 2 games was Erik Källgren, who played incredible in the first one to earn a shutout in his first career start against the Dallas Stars in a 4-0 win. And then followed by a very, very high quality performance against the Carolina Hurricanes. They had lots of shots. I believe it was up around the 40. I think it was around 37, 38 shots that game, if I'm not mistaken. And he only allowed 2. One of them was with about a second left, so it didn't even really matter. It was just whatever. Yeah, he played great. A lot of perimeter in that game as well. The Leafs had a very good collapse defensively game. Like, they collapsed to their box and allowed things to kind of stay to the outside, which was good. But when Källgren was called upon, he made the saves that he needed to make. And that's all you can really ask for, right? That's what Peter Mrazek hasn't been doing. Hasn't been able to do, right? He's actually been causing issues, let alone pulling you out of issues. Yeah. That's something you just can't have on a high quality team, right? So
because even that winner, the Heritage Classic, there were a couple of those goals used from awful angles. Like, just a guy like Peter Mrazek, you should not be letting those in.
No, he's had high quality play in the National Hockey League, right? And what really stands out about Peter Mrazek, and even earlier in the season before Jack Campbell got hurt and the lens was really on Peter, he is always out of position. Like, I don't know why he's so aggressive, but he totally disregards the crease and posts. Like, it's unreal to me. It's really cool. It's really crazy. Like, for a guy who has played well in his NHL career to actually have so much reckless abandon in the net is crazy to me. I don't understand it. Because,
Well,
skill-wise, he's fine. It's positionally, he's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like, terrible. I don't know. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, like, it's weird because he has, like, I don't know, it's not like pedigree, but, like, he's an NHL caliber goalie, right?
Yes.
Like,
yes, he's proven that. In the past, this season is...
Yeah.
And of course, we know that there's a lot more pressure playing in a market like Toronto. There's probably the most pressure out of any market in the world at this, or in the league at this point. I wouldn't say world. There's a lot of crazy sports fans out there.
I mean, like any of those original six ones, I think it's hard to say.
You're trying to tell me there's more pressure anywhere in the National Hockey League than Toronto?
I would say probably Montreal.
No, Montreal won in '93. Boston won in 2011.
I get what you're saying.
So no. There's more pressure in Toronto than there is in it. It's the highest pressure market in the league, and if you say otherwise, I'm sorry. I will laugh you out of the room.
Montreal,
that's ridiculous.
I would say Montreal and Boston are up there.
No,
not
even close.
Definitely are.
Not even close to Toronto. The pressure that comes with not winning a cup since 1967, it's unmatched. It's unmatched, and you see it in the way they play come pressure situations. Montreal had a pressure situation and took it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, Stanley Cup final last year. That's what I'm saying. That's the pressure's higher in Toronto than it is in Montreal, and it just is. It just is. Anyway, but what I'm saying is Peter Mrazek is, I think a guy who probably thrived in a market like Carolina, where he didn't have that pressure, right? Like, when people think of a low pressure market, they think of Carolina, right? Like,
but like it's also I don't like. It's weird to me that pressure just means he just throws his positional game out the window like that. Like, I just don't understand that part. You know what I mean?
I think it's because he's actually trying too hard, right? So he's chasing pucks around the ice. He's not staying calm, cool, and collected and getting back to and doing what he's been doing his entire life. He's trying to do too much.
Fair, yeah, okay.
I think that's probably what it is. And then you start slumping and you try harder.
Yeah.
And you get worse. Right? And that's what it is. That's what the Toronto market is. And there's guys who thrive under pressure, like Jack Campbell at the beginning of the season, thrived under pressure. Now, I don't even think I would take that away from him yet, to be honest with you. I think he was playing hurt and sick. But a guy like Freddie Anderson, he was quoted before that game saying, I enjoyed the first few years in Toronto because he couldn't take it. He just couldn't take it. It's that simple. And that's what it is. And you know what? Sorry, Freddie. There were lots of nights where you just took the whole night off. You sucked. You were terrible. And yeah, we're the biggest hockey market in the world. So you need to show up every night. We expect you to show up every night. We know what showing up every night looks like. And we expect it. One of my favorite quotes that I've honestly ever heard in hockey was from Daryl Sutter. Don't know if it was last week or this week. He said, listen, I know what every single one of my players, goaltenders, I know what they're all capable of doing. I will never ask them for more than what they're capable of, but they goddamn well know they're not going to give me less.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. That's how you need to play hockey. That's how teams win games. Look at Calgary right now.
Well, I was just about to say, like, you look at that attitude, you look at the team that he's coaching. It's like, yeah. And I mean, I watched the Calgary game last night when they played Vancouver. And yeah, like he's asking those guys to give 100% of what they've got.
He's not asking for more.
No, you give me 100%, and their 100% is fucking better than most people in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. All of those guys put together, that goaltending, that defense.
Yeah. And then with Sutter at the helm there, fucking keeping it all in check.
He's a fantastic coach. Say what you want about him. He is a fantastic hockey coach, man. Yeah. Unbelievable hockey coach. So anyway, and then last night was another pretty brutal game. Playing the Nashville Predators in Nashville. UC Saros did have a game, I will admit to that. He played really good. Källgren, I don't think was much, like he did allow 5, don't get me wrong. It was a high octane offensive game. I think both teams had at least 35 shots. If I'm not mistaken, the Leafs did surpass 40, and I think Nashville was in around the, again, 37, 38 range. And yes, 5 got past them, but I wouldn't blame them for a single one of them. It was a 6-3 game with an empty netter, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was, I think they went up 5-2, and we scored with about 5 minutes left to make it 5-3. Then they put the empty netter in to make it 6-3.
Sounds about right.
But, yeah, UC Saros had a game, made some unbelievable saves. Källgren made some unbelievable saves, too. The defense wasn't exactly where you want it to be last night, but it is what it is. And now it's the trade deadline. Now we need to figure out, what do we need? What is this team's most glaring issue? And it's a very, very tricky question.
Well, then let me fucking hit it up. Fill in the blank, Ave. What do the Leafs need at the deadline?
Well, I don't think it's really that simple. I think you have to take what's available to you. I think there's certain arguments to be made for lots of different strategies here, because what I don't understand is how you have one guy make his first NHL start, play 2 games, play 2 fantastic games, now a third that wasn't so fantastic, but again, not his fault.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that makes people go from they absolutely need a goaltender to they don't need a goaltender.
Yeah, the whole like Leafs goalie situation for the last few years has kind of like blown my mind.
Like I think what we have to hope when it comes to the goaltending situation is Jack Campbell comes back healthy, plays even to 90% of what he was at the beginning of the season. You want 100, but even 90% is better than what we've been getting. And I think you take your chances on Källgren as your number 2, because Mrazek's a non-option. He's terrible. He's been god-awful.
Do you move Mrazek at the deadline or what?
How?
I don't know.
He's 3x3x8. How do you move that? I'm not giving up a first-round pick to get rid of Peter Mrazek's contract, and I think that's about all that would get rid of it. So at this point. So no, I don't think you have an option when it comes to that. But what I do think you need somebody who can play at about the 5 or the 4-5 spot in your defensive depth. I think you need a guy like Mark Giordano.
I know you've been high on him for the last like week, 10 days.
That's a name that I would like to see if it goes for the right price. Do I think Mark Giordano is worth a first? No. Do I think he's worth maybe a couple seconds or a second and a low tier prospect? Yes, I do. I do think that. But if he isn't going for that price and you have to go all in and you're going all in, it better be for Jakob Chychrun. That's my opinion. If you're going first and Nick Robertson for Mark Giordano, no.
No, God, no. God,
like,
no.
You know what I'm saying? That should be a first and Nick Robertson. I would do a first and Nick Robertson for Jakob Chychrun, though.
Yeah.
That I would do. And if you can do that, do it, in my humble opinion. But that's something that I would like to see. Another thing that would be of high interest to me, especially after watching Ondrej Kase last night take like yet another headshot. I think that's somebody who we really, really hoped would be playing top 6 minutes come playoff time, probably on a line with Tavares and Nylander. I don't know if you can expect that out of him right now. I think that's probably something that you should think about now is maybe a middle six guy, a middle
Any
six
names?
winger. Pardon?
Any names that you would float around in there?
Well, this kind of just happened last night because like for me, and even for the guy's own sake, like for life after hockey,
Yeah.
Ondrej Kase should not play again this season. To be
Yeah.
honest, I unless something miraculous happens, but I like he's got such a history with head trauma. To watch that happen to him again last night and him eat the ice like he did, and it didn't look that bad live. It was a shot to the head, but the reason if that's somebody else taking that hit, I don't think he goes down like that. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the repeated
The previous
trauma.
history, yeah.
Yeah, he needs to sit out for a little bit here for his own sake, man. I love Ondrej Kase. Don't get me wrong. He's been fantastic. But I think he probably should take a few weeks here, maybe take the rest of the season off if that's what he really needs. That wouldn't upset me. Let me put it to you that way, because there's life after hockey, right? As much as I was high on Kase when the season began, was I not? I said if this guy can stay healthy, he'll be a force for us. Did I not say that?
Like repeatedly. And I really did not believe you.
And he was until he wasn't healthy. Right? So I think that's something that you should look for. And then if for anything, depth, because now we're almost at 55, 60 games through the season, right? Around there.
About there.
And you can really start to see the age of our fourth line. The Jason Spezza, the Wayne Simmons. You can see that they're not what they were at the beginning of the year. Jason Spezza seemed to be scoring every other game at the beginning of the season. I don't remember the last time Jason Spezza even made a meaningful play, to be honest with you. And I think that's something that can be worked on. Wayne Simmons has gone about, I think it's like 25 games played, maybe 26 now without a goal. He's been a healthy scratch almost since he played his 1,000th game. Another Mystic Avery prediction. As soon as he plays 1,000, expect him to be sat. Because he has been brutal. Yeah. But then last night, Kyle Clifford came in, and man, I don't know if that's something I'd prefer over Wayne Simmons. At least Wayne Simmons doesn't take a 2-minute minor every game in the 4 minutes of ice time he gets.
Yeah, can't be doing that.
He can slam his face head first off the ice because he skates like a fucking Neanderthal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably something that the team should work on. And I guess middle six isn't really the right word, because I think the third line has been one of our best lines. Mikheyev with Engvall and Kampf has been great. Kampf is such a good shutdown guy. Mikheyev probably does the old Chell, absolutely burn the defender what would it be? The right defender. Just burn him to the outside and take it to the net. He doesn't score on it ever, but he does it like 4 times a game. And like at least once or twice it's on the penalty kill. So it's just great. It's fantastic. And Engvall has been playing really good. I love Kerfoot as well. Kerfoot is somebody who a lot of Leafs fans think is disposable, but I think they would miss him if he were to be traded. Yeah. If he were to be put into one of these deals that they want to, like a lot of people, I'm seeing him being put into this Giordano deal, or I'm seeing him being put into the Chychrun
deal. Yeah.
And I think that's something that you should be cautious with, because I think you'll really miss him when he's gone. Not only can he play different places, like he can play that 3C spot. It's Kampf's spot right now, but he can also play on the wing with Tavares and Nylander. It's pretty much been him and Kase has been kind of coming in and out of that spot there. And Engvall, he's apparently, it's very surprising, he's apparently like a monster in the gym, like an absolute monster in the gym, which is something you wouldn't expect out of him. But I guess you can kind of see it in his play style. He doesn't have a whole lot of skill. If he wasn't a monster in the gym, he probably wouldn't play in the NHL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can just see it, that he's a workhorse out there, and it's a guy who can kill penalties and just eat up ice time. So I think when I say middle six, I think I'm talking about the Nylander Tavares winger, because you don't want Kerfoot in that spot. You want Kerfoot probably playing sheltered minutes. That's what I would, and not be anything to do with him. It's because you want him probably in a spot where he can play with Kampf or Engvall or Mikheyev, because it's not going to, you don't require the high intensity skill that you do to play with a Nylander or Tavares, right?
Exactly, yeah. You want to match him with, you want to play him in the right spot.
Yeah. Like a guy, want to know who would be at, like, this is from last year's trade deadline, and obviously he's not available anymore. He's a Boston Bruin, but like a guy like Taylor Hall to play with Nylander and Tavares would be so beautiful. Like that. And that's what I'm hoping the Leafs do, is pull a name out of nowhere. Just somebody like nobody even thought this guy was available, and just pluck him and toss him on your second line. That's what I think we should do. Anyway, I've been rambling about this for like 15 minutes. So I'll shut up now.
No, I'm going to get you talking once more, because we still have to talk the Matthews suspension.
Oh, man.
Because I think this is the debate around the suspensions a lot. There's a lot to talk about.
Well, I think it's understood that that play is probably worth 2 games.
Yeah, because I think it's fair to say that the cross check to the head is absolutely worth the 2 games he got for it. Like, I don't think that's an argument to be made.
No, but the problem is, if it's not Auston Matthews, I don't think he gets 2 games.
Yeah, like we've seen that same play go either unpunished or, a smaller, a 5K fine. Yeah, the 5K fine, or even I think there's someone in Edmonton got like 1 game for that.
Giroux. What did Giroux get?
Giroux.
Yeah, the guy pinned to the ice, cross-checking him in the face.
Oh,
Minnesota Wild player. Didn't he only get a 5K fine?
He either got 5K or 1 game. I'm gonna say it was a fine.
I forget who the Carolina player was. It was Niederreiter. Niederreiter slashed a guy on the Boston Bruins bench.
Yeah,
and got 1
fine.
game.
Oh, did he got a game?
The guy was on the bench.
Yeah.
Auston Matthews has barely taken a penalty in his 5-6 year career. So, like, you want to talk about a clean history sheet?
Yeah.
It's a clean history sheet.
Like probably the worst, the most damage he's done, like up to that point, was fucking eating that crossbar.
Yes.
Actually.
Or the absolute rockets that he unloads on goaltenders every game. Those probably cause more damage too, to be honest with you. Because Rasmus Dahlin, that's the other thing. No injury on the play. No injury.
No, but I still do think the 2 games was fair for that. It
would be fair if it was given to everybody.
Exactly, but that's the issue, is that it's not. It's
Ben Chiarot last year in the playoffs cross-checked Wayne Simmons directly in the mouth.
Yeah.
Directly in the mouth.
Yep. The playoffs
did not get any supplemental discipline.
The playoffs before that, the play-in round or whatever, Brendan Gallagher had his jaw broken by a Matt Niskanen cross-check. Teeth knocked out, jaw broken. Niskanen got 1 game.
But Auston Matthews, who's got like the cleanest sheet in the league and did not cause an injury, gets 2. You're going to really look at me and tell me that they don't have a fucking spinning dartboard that they throw darts at for these suspensions and fines.
Oh, because when it happened, I was like, yeah, like that should be a suspension. That was my first thought, it absolutely should be. But again, that issue is you have no idea what the fuck the Department of Player Safety is going to do about it.
You can also make the argument that Auston Matthews wasn't even aiming for his head, and he was aiming for his shoulder, and it slid up off the shoulder pad and hit him in the neck. You can also make that argument.
100%. I still think, regardless, in a perfect world, that's still a 2-game suspension, whether you meant to cross-check him in the head or not. Right?
So why does Auston Matthews get punished more than anybody else?
And that's the thing, Abe, is I don't have an answer for you. It's because the Department of Player Safety is genuinely run by morons. Like absolute fucking idiots. You know?
And the other thing that I know they don't take it into account, but another thing that I take into account is the amount of abuse that man takes.
Yeah.
All game, every game. And the league won't stand up for him by calling the penalty. But then he stands up for himself for once.
Yeah.
And he gets a 2-game suspension.
Because even if you rewind that play a little bit, it should have probably been blown dead about 40 seconds earlier with him and Dahlin going at it in front of the net.
Well, what about Dahlin shoving him into the fucking crossbar?
Okay, so that's the thing. That play should have been stopped around there, about 30 or 40 seconds before the cross check. There was only, 2 or 3 minutes left in the game at that point. You just give them both 10s and just be like, hey, boys, it's a blowout game here. It's the Winter Heritage Classic. You both get 10s because we don't need any of this bullshit. That's what should have happened. Was both of them get 10s. You just kill the game. The refs go to the benches, say, hey, none of this shit. Because what ended up happening was when they came out of the penalty box, Cousins laid a big hit on Matthews. Bunting went after Cousins, and then Bunting and Cousins got tossed.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even let them fight first.
No. But I think the Cousins hit was totally fine, and Bunting was just kind of overreacting. But
I don't think the Cousins hit was dangerous at all. Especially Matthews a big boy.
Yeah,
Austin's a big boy. He can handle it.
But I just think if they had just stopped the play with Dahlin and Matthews 30 or 40 seconds earlier, just send them both to the room, just give them their 10s so they walk, and you just go to the benches and say, hey, just enough of this. We don't need this. But they didn't. The refs let it go further to the point where Matthews cross-checks Dahlin in the head. They don't toss either of them, and then you get more bullshit after the fact. Just poor all around from the refs, honestly.
Yep, and you know what? Even the game that I was at live, I honestly don't know why the Scotiabank Arena even has a visitor's penalty box. I honestly don't. It's outrageous. It's so egregious and crazy. The amount, Ilya Lyubushkin, dude, who, by the way, when I at the game live, that was a standout for me. Ilya Lyubushkin's a fantastic hockey player, such a good D-man. But anyway, he somehow takes a hooking penalty or a holding penalty after getting actually grabbed from behind, tossed into the ground, and then shoved there by another cross-check. He gets a holding penalty. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. It was Carolina penalty, but he trips over Lyubushkin after dumping him to the ice. Leafs take a penalty.
Yeah. Man, we could go for hours about the ref save. We really could.
I don't know. I really don't know. It's unbelievable to me that happens. And like we said before, they try so hard to not influence the game that they have they become such an influence on the game.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, I don't want to do another ref rant this week.
Yeah. Well, then we'll switch it over to Montreal then, because a pretty interesting 4 games last week. Start on Sunday against the Flyers. Cole Caulfield scoring another OT winner. Fucking that clap bomb, man. He is entirely transformed under Marty St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. As of last night, 17 games under St. Louis, 12 goals, 10 assists, 22 points. I don't know what Dom Ducharme fucking did to him. I don't. And every week for the past couple of weeks, I've been Cole Caulfield's got all these fucking points, but he'll come back down to earth a little bit, and he just hasn't yet. He's scoring at a ridiculous pace.
Again, I say Dom Ducharme absolutely robbed that kid of a Calder.
Oh my god! If he's under Marty St. Louis this whole season, there's no Calder race. And we've talked about how great the Calder race has been so far with Seider and Bunting and Raymond, Zegras. You got a full 82 of Caulfield like this, there's no race. He runs away with it.
Yeah, the kid's got a nasty shot, to be honest with you. The little curl and drag that he does coming in from the right side, it's disgusting.
Yeah. So
Just so you know, I watched Auston Matthews do that for 2 years, and then they learned how to stop it. So he's gonna have to find another way to score. Just so you know.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think I sent you the OT winner, that clap bomb. He steps over the blue line and just rips it. Like,
Yeah.
He's got the tools. But yeah, 5 goals in 4 games this week. He got 2 in 8 seconds against the Coyotes, which was fucking nuts.
Still lost the game, but yeah.
You know what, Abe? It's been like a really good thing for the Habs fans recently. Like, all the teams that are kind of above us have been winning, and we've been kind of winning too, but also losing, and especially to the teams above us. We're still staying in the pain for Shane race, but also like winning games and having fun. It's phenomenal right now. It's the best of both worlds.
At least you have a positive outlook, Gitano.
Well, I mean, like, look, if you're gonna suck, fucking like embracing is fucking suck, right? Have
Fair.
some fun. Have some fun while you're shit, and that's the thing. Like, since Marty St. Louis come in, like, we've been having fun while being kind of shit still.
Yeah, see, that'll be me with the Seattle Seahawks for the next 10 years.
Yeah, pour one out for fucking Russ or what?
Pour one out for us. Russ is going to compete for a championship. Anyway.
So yeah, lost to the Coyotes, lost to the Stars in overtime. Jake Allen made his return after 28 games out. Dvorak made his return after 6 weeks, and then the game-winning goal in overtime was straight up goalie interference. One of the refs told Jake Allen it was goalie interference, but the Situation Room overruled them. Like, I don't know, like, that's so fucking stupid to me.
Let's just not today.
I know.
We did this last week.
I know. Like, and then
like, why even have the ref then?
I know. And like, did you see the clip?
No, I haven't actually watched it, but that's
I'll send it to you.
Insane.
Tyler Seguin, he's in the crease and he gets his stick in Jake Allen's blocker, so Jake Allen isn't able to go out to like poke the puck, and the puck ends up beating him. And like because they showed the replays, except first I didn't see it. I was like, fuck, But then they showed the replays, like, oh, like there might be goalie interference here. They're looking it over. So I was like, all right. And then they showed like the overhead angle, and fucking sure enough, you can see Tyler Seguin, he twists his stick, and Jake Allen's blocker like is moved, right? You're like, oh, like that's goalie interference. And yeah, well, Situation Room said no. I'd bet you every penny in my fucking bank account that if that's Brendan Gallagher and Jake Ottinger's crease, that goal doesn't stand though. I'll bet you that much.
Man, did you see? Speaking of Jake Ottinger, did you see that save he made against the Leafs?
Oh, that's a save. That's save of the year. I don't think anyone's beating that. At
first, I was like, it went in his glove, but no, he fully reached. Like that was.
And another thing, that the tip by Nylander was.
Yeah, that was
fucking stuff. Ace. But yeah, that was fucking disgusting. And then last night, slapped the piss out of the Senators 5-1. Jonathan Giroux finally back in the lineup. Cole Caulfield scored again. Brett Kulak absolutely walked Ottawa's defense. I don't know where the fuck that came from.
Good for him.
It was one of those plays that happened, and he beats the first guy. You're like, okay, and he beats the second guy. Like, oh, like good for you, Brett. And then he walks through the rest of them and fucking roofs it, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, Brett Kulak just dunked on the Ottawa Senators. That's how bad they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the big thing obviously was Ben Chiarot being traded to the Florida Panthers. Again for Ty Smilanic, a 4th in 2022 and a 1st in 2023. I think pretty fair price, I would say. Probably like between fair and overpay, but not like it's not a crazy overpay.
Given the current market, I don't think it's that big. Like, I'm not a big Ben Chiarot fan myself. I think, like, I wouldn't have wanted him as a Leaf, but hey, if that's what a team thinks they're gonna add, and I guess come playoff time, right? I don't know if there's less penalties called in the playoffs as much as there's more penalties taken and the same amount are called. or more penalties are like players actually commit more offenses, but the same amount is called.
They're still called. They're still called at the same rate.
Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
like that's the thing about Ben Chiarot that really turned me off is he takes like an absolutely ridiculous amount of penalties.
Yeah, and I mean that's just the way he plays, right? He's a big physical guy. He plays a big physical game. You know, he's a guy that you want in your team. Like when he was partnered with Shea Weber, that's one of the best like defense pairings I've seen play in Montreal in my lifetime. They were just they were disgusting. If you want to fucking stand in front of the net, you got the shit beat out of you. If you want to go battle in the corners, you got the shit beat out of you. Like they did not. You had to work for every fucking inch of ice when they were on the ice, and they fucking beat the shit out of guys for it. Yeah. And like I think when you go into the playoffs, that's the kind of guy you want on your team. Because, as much as we don't like it, the rule book kind of goes out the window in the playoffs, and he gets away with a lot more stuff in the playoffs. I think it's a great pickup for Florida. They just got a hell of a lot meaner in defense.
And they weren't done.
No, they were not. So, so we're gonna say Chiarot fair price.
I would say that's a fair price, given. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have liked to pay it, but I can see why a team would.
Yeah. So actually, in terms of the big trades, we'll kind of go in order here. So we'll go back to March 14th, the Josh Manson trade to Colorado in exchange for Drew Hellison and a 2023 second-round pick.
I'm going to be honest with you. To me, Colorado fleeced them.
I was going to say that's an underpay and a half, I think, given the market.
Yeah, given the way things have been going and the rumors over what asks are for even guys like Gio.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, that's not a lot, especially for a guy who has been on the top of like every trade bait board for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Like this is a good D-man. This is a guy who will make you better. To give him up for a second
and a
prospect is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a steal and a half, I think.
Considering Chiarot went for a first and a prospect.
Yeah.
Like I would like for the Leafs anyway, I would have rathered Manson than Chiarot. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah. I think Chiarot's the better defenseman between the two of them. But like the price discrepancy between the two should not be there.
No, I don't think it's that big. And I don't know what'd you say his name is? Smolaric?
Ty Smolanic. I don't know anything about him. Yeah.
And the other guy, I don't know anything. Like maybe one prospect is significantly better than the other. And I'm not a scout. So
no. I do know with Smolanic though, he's NCAA, so Hughes and Gorton are both like really familiar with him because that's kind of the avenue that they not grew up in, but like they've coached and managed in. So
they've been a part of the NCAA.
Yeah. So I've heard some good things about him. Like I said, I can't say I've ever fucking heard of him before now, but apparently the scouting report says he's got all the tools to be like a bottom six guy in the league. So like a casual NHL player, not casual. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
not an all-star, not a bottom feeder.
Just like a useful NHL player.
Yeah, like a Blake Coleman.
Yeah, like it's similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So what are we going to say about that one then? We're going to say that was an underpay?
Oh, that's an underpay. 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
So the next major trade was March 16th. The Calgary Flames acquire Cali Croak from Seattle for a 2022 second, a 2023 third, and a 2024 seventh.
So who cares about a 7th round draft pick? So
basically the third, a second and a third for Cali Croak.
What's Cali Croak's deal? Do we know?
I'd have to pull it up if you want to give me a second.
I believe it was $2 million, and I believe Seattle retained $1 million, but I also am not sure how long it goes for.
He is signed.
Is it just this year? It's probably just this year.
Yeah, 21-22 at $2 million.
I feel like that's a lot for Cali and Croak as a rental, a second and a third. But I guess when you're going all in, when your team is as good as the Calgary Flames, you need to add, right? You need to give your team, even if it's just to tell your team that you're in, as a GM.
Yeah.
Even if that's all you're doing.
Yeah, they've made their intentions very clear that they want to win a cup this year.
And they can. They easily can.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the second, the third, and the seventh for Jan Croak is fair leaning overpay. Sorry.
Yeah. And if he has another year on his deal, then I think that's a totally fair trade.
Yeah.
If you have him for next year too, but I don't think you do.
No, he's a UFA at the end of the season.
So, yeah, and I don't think you're re-signing him at $2 million.
Probably not.
I think he'll probably exhaust his options elsewhere.
I also look at, the impact he's going to have is similar to like a Blake Coleman, Barclay Goodrow in Tampa, and they paid significantly less than that than Tampa paid for those guys. So that's why I say fair leaning overpay.
In 49 games, he's got 26 points this season. So not terrible, not fantastic, not terrible.
Useful.
Exactly. Somebody you can plug into your middle six and be happy about it.
Yeah. All right. Next major trade. And this is the doozy here. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning acquire Brandon Hagel, a 22 and 24 fourth-round picks, in exchange for a 2023 first, 2024 first, Boris Tkachuk, and Taylor Radish, both ex-Greyhounds.
Yes, and Canadian World Junior alumni.
Yes. So my initial reaction is overpay, like just extreme overpay.
Yeah, because you have two not high prospects, but two decent prospects, at least what we know about them.
Yeah.
You have 2 first-round picks going for Brandon Hagel. Now, there's a couple arguments to be made here.
Yeah. This is a complex discussion around this trade here.
So, the first thing that I have to say is actually in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that is 2 late firsts, because you're going to expect that they're going to be late first. This is the Tampa Bay Lightning we're talking about, not the Arizona Coyotes. You got to expect, and Tampa Bay expects, that those 2 aren't that much better than a fourth. Whatever they see in these drafts coming up, whatever their scouts have told them, makes them believe that their 2 late firsts are not going to be that much different than 2 early fourths. Chicago's 2 fourths. Also, Boris Tkachuk and Taylor Radish aren't going to play on this team and win a Stanley Cup. Right? They want guys who can come on this team and win a Stanley Cup right now. Not in a couple of years. Taylor Radish and Boris Tkachuk were not going to play this year.
No.
So that's why you do it. That's why Julien Brisebois did it, is because he doesn't see that big of a difference between the late firsts and the early fourths. And he also knows that those 2 guys aren't going to play on this team this year. So why the hell not trade them and try to get something for them?
Yeah, go for the 3-peat. And picking up Brandon Hagel, who was one of the top guys on the trade bait boards for sure.
Now, from Chicago's perspective, you just picked up 2 prospects and you traded 2 fourths for 2 firsts for a guy who's shooting 22% right now, which is really, really lucky.
Yeah, like extremely unsustainable.
Yes, he's not going to be this good probably for the rest of this year, and especially next year. He's also under contract, which is another reason that Tampa Bay made that trade.
Yeah.
He's not going to shoot like that next year either. 22.5% is the best in the league right now.
Well, the league average is what, 9-ish?
9-ish, yes.
Yeah.
9%. So he is over double the league average. Auston Matthews is, I think we can agree right now, him and obviously Ovechkin we know is something, but he's probably the best shooter in the league right now, Matthews.
Yeah,
and he shoots around 15-16%.
And even that seems ridiculously high. That's and not entirely sustainable.
Crazy. Nathan McKinnon led the league with 11.2% in 18-19.
Yeah.
So
like he's going to come back down to earth. Like should.
Yes.
He
So
should.
you just sold as high as possible on Brandon Hagel, is what you've done. So really, if you look at it, it's kind of a fair. You can see how it's fair from both sides. Why both sides agreed to the deal. The downside for Chicago is now you have guys like Jonathan Toews who are saying, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat, I don't want to be here anymore. If you're going to trade a guy like Brandon Hagel.
But, and leaning back into that shooting percent thing, like Brandon Hagel is not going to be this Brandon Hagel over the course of the Chicago Blackhawks rebuild. Like he was never going to be, this guy.
And management understands that. I don't know if
the players quite do.
Yeah.
But like I also understand the Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane not wanting to be there. Those two specifically, considering their age and contracts and wanting to continue to win, and not wanting to be there for the rebuild. I get that.
Yeah.
But and like I said, my initial reaction was just overpay, because I know you mentioned it a few weeks ago. Like a first round pick used to get you a superstar in a trade, and now two of them and a couple prospects got you Brandon Hagel. Like,
see, it's a very complex trade.
I know, but it just feels so wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you told me like a week ago, said the Lightning are going to trade 2 firsts, Kachuk and Radish, I would have been like, fuck, what the hell did they pick up? Like they must have went and got something. And then to be like, oh, like it was Brandon Hagel at 2 fourths, I'd be like, it's not great. But again, like then you take, they
made the team better, right? They made their current roster better.
Yeah, like they increased their chances of winning significantly.
Okay, let's move on to the Giroux deal.
So Claude Giroux, after playing 1,000 games, exactly 1,000 games with the Flyers, is traded to the Florida Panthers along with a 2025 fifth, and then 2 prospects, Connor Bunnaman and German Rubstov, with the Flyers getting Owen Tippett, a 2024 first, and a 2023 third in return.
So I feel like that's not a lot for Claude Giroux.
Yeah, definitely considering the prices we were hearing beforehand. Like, I feel like that was a very almost underpay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Owen Tippett's been nothing special.
No, he's playing in the A.
Yeah, he's playing in the A and, like, not well. Obviously, then the first and the third kind of come with the territory of trading for a guy like Claude Giroux, so nothing crazy. But yeah,
we're talking about Claude Giroux.
Yeah, like he is.
This is a bona fide top 6 guy still in the National Hockey League. Like this is not. Sure. This is not even like Blake Cole. This is way better than a Blake Coleman. Oh, this is way better than picking up Cali and Croak. Like this is Claude Giroux, right? Like this guy led the Philadelphia Flyers to a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, like this is the type of guy that like. When you look at all these trades, like these are all kind of adding to like stacked lineups. Like you're filling in gaps, and but like Claude Giroux is like a legitimate first line guy. Like the Florida Panthers could realistically, they won't because they won't break up their top line, but they realistically could slap Giroux on the Claude line or slap Giroux on the first line, and like that's like like he belongs there. He should be playing there.
It's Claude Giroux.
He's Claude fucking Giroux.
The pride of Marathon, Ontario.
Yeah, like what a deal for fucking
no,
Florida.
It's not Marathon, it's Hearst.
Is it Hearst?
It's Hearst.
But anyways, yeah. Underpay and a half. The Flyers got fleeced, I think.
I think for him, like you're talking one of the all-time great Flyers you just traded for a first, third, and an underwhelming prospect.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That at one time was drafted higher than Nick Suzuki. I'll let you go off on that for a minute.
Nick Suzuki's elite. Just give me a second here. 17 points in his last 12 games. Just saying.
Okay, so that's all you need. That's all you need.
Anyways, yeah, underpay and a half, I think.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that one, and that's what we've had so far. Those are the big ones moving.
I got one more.
What else happened?
Hampus
Lindholm?
Lindholm to the Bruins, along with Cody Curran, Anaheim getting a 2022 first, a 2023 second, a 2024 second, and then two prospects. Or no, a prospect and John Moore, who is definitely not a prospect.
No, John Moore, that was to eating contract. That was all that was. The John Moore is an AHL guy who's making $1.6 million per.
Yeah.
So that was just contract. But
the Bruins are also re-signing Hampus Lindholm reportedly to an 8 by 6.5.
For a guy on the decline, that's outrageous.
Yeah. Like, I know a joke about fucking getting Jeff Skinner's agent, but like, I'll take Hampus Lindholm's agent too.
Yeah. When it comes to the actual trade, considering Anaheim's going to do nothing this year and they were probably going to lose him anyway.
Yeah.
I think picking up a first, 2 seconds, and a third is really, really, really good work by them.
Oh, 100%.
I respect that grind for sure. That's some hustle.
Yeah. And then on the Bruins end, even if he was just a rental, I think it's not the worst
given
price
the market,
to pay.
I don't think it's that outrageous of an overpay.
No. But then when you add an 8 by 6.5 to a 28-year-old Hampus Lindholm,
who hasn't been that great this year.
No.
Like, that's the thing. He's declining.
I don't think he's ever been, 8
he's
by
been good.
6.5 good, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw Jay Fresh tweet yesterday. If that contract starts with anything more than a 5, uh-oh.
Yeah. I don't think it's 6.5 by 8. That's just not
That's a
good.
lot of money and a lot of years.
Yeah, for a guy who's just, like I said, he's never been that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. At least he's not getting the 9 that Seth Jones and... Ugh. Man, I don't know.
So in that case, the trade, I think, is fair. But then you add that extension in, and I think the Ducks win it.
Yeah, because they would have... Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, fill in the blanks.
So we'll go... What do you think the best trade? Best trade so far has been blank.
I think, and I hate to say it because they're in our division, but that Florida pickup of Giroux is just money.
I don't think you can argue that. Worst trade so far?
Man, it's been tough.
I'm looking back at them, and if I have to pick one, probably Cali and Croak. And it's not even that it's that bad. It's just, I think the other trades are better.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably about where I'm at too. You could even say Florida or the Flyers from the Flyers' perspective.
Oh yeah,
worst trade. You could even say that, but yeah. No, I would probably pick one of those two. Yarncroak, just because it's not that big of a splash, and I think Calgary's probably in a position to win. But do you know what? I don't think they're done either.
No. So that leads nicely into what do you think the biggest trade still to come is blank?
Leafs picking up their top 4 D-man. That's, I think, what's about to come, and I think today's a great day for it to happen.
All right. Last fill in the blank. Your NCAA March Madness bracket is currently blank.
Currently absolutely ripped to shreds.
Yeah, thank you, Kentucky.
And Baylor. Yeah,
Baylor,
thanks.
Yeah.
They're fucking absolutely blew it. Yeah.
In the shitter.
Yeah. Did you know that they were actually down by 25 points in the second half and came back and tied it and then lost in overtime? Anyway.
Anyways, so what do the Leafs have coming up this week?
I believe we are off until Wednesday. I forget who we play though. Let me just take a look here. We're off until Wednesday when we host the Devils, followed by a Saturday, March 26th matchup against your Montreal Canadiens.
Nice. So the Canadiens have the Bruins tomorrow. We've got the Panthers on Thursday. Apparently Ben Chiarot will be making his Panthers debut against the Canadiens in Montreal. Great stuff. And then Saturday against the Leafs and Sunday night against the Devils.
Yeah, we have the Panthers on Sunday night as well. So we got back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. Should be a good weekend next weekend. Is that Masters week? No.
I don't know.
No, Masters weekend. No. Okay, no. That's first weekend of April. April 7th through 10th.
All right. Anything else you'd like to discuss this week?
Actually, there was one just quick thing that I have to say. Did you happen to catch that trade that didn't happen that Drager was tweeting about?
No.
That would have sent Hagel and Fleury to Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Here, I got to get the details up here first before I go off because I forget exactly what the details were.
I do, yeah, but it didn't get to the point where Fleury got asked to move his no trade, so it didn't get too far. But still, the framework for that trade was a little nutty.
Yeah, it was sending Mrazek the other way. Darren Drager, there we go. Draggy. Okay, here's a deal that didn't happen. Chicago and Toronto discussed Hagel and Fleury to the Leafs for Mrazek, Matty Nyes, and a first round picks, multiple. Never reached the stage where Fleury was officially asked to waive. Toronto declined based on the futures involved. Toronto sees promise in Willing Shalgren and most definitely Jack Campbell. Okay, so would have been a bad decision on the Toronto Maple Leafs part because if I'm not mistaken, Matty Nyes was just tossed from that NCAA tournament.
Oh, Frozen Four or whatever?
Yeah, he plays for Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I think he could be this year's Caulfield.
Oh, yeah?
I think he's an energy guy, man. Like I haven't watched him. I've just seen a couple clips of the stuff he does down in Minnesota, and I also saw him play at the World Juniors for the few games that they did before they canceled the tournament.
Did he not go to the Olympics as well?
Yes, he did. And I think that's somebody who could actually play for the Toronto Maple Leafs this year. I really do believe that. I don't know if he'll have as big of an impact as Caulfield, but I think he could be that guy who comes straight from college to the NHL. I really do. So that's why I don't think that was a good idea to trade him. I also don't think it's a good idea to get rid of first-round picks, and I think that's exactly what Dubas is thinking.
Yeah, I think if it was one first-round pick, I would have understood a little better, but multiple firsts plus
for Fleury, who hasn't been playing much better than Campbell.
No.
Right? And Hagel, who's shooting 22.5%.
The thing you're getting with Fleury, though, is that experience of going there, and he knows how to win a cup, and he knows what it's like to, do that, which is valuable, That has real value. But
I don't know if you're getting rid of Matty Nyes for that, though.
For Matty Nyes, multiple firsts, I don't think. I think it's a good thing that the Leafs didn't do that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to touch on that because that was an interesting one that I thought. Yeah. And the other thing that I have to ask, are the Habs done, or do you think there's more coming trade-wise out of Montreal?
So from what I've gathered from Hughes and Gorton's statements is basically they're done unless someone's going to make them an offer they can't refuse. Okay. So a couple of the names have been like Arturi Lehkonen has been one of them. Jeff Petry's name is still kind of out there, but again, they're like, if you're not going to blow our socks off, we're not going to
try.
Yeah, which is fair. I like that approach. It's basically the approach that saw the Toffoli trade happen. Was they weren't looking to trade him. Calgary came in, made a big offer, and went, fuck.
Oh, I forgot Calgary already traded for Toffoli too.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
So I mean, I like that. I like that strategy. I also don't want us to trade Arturi Lehkonen because I fucking love him. But yeah, I think I would put my money on the Habs being done.
Okay.
Like, unless we were maybe like, I could see us maybe being like a third team in some deals, just
Working
take
some
on
cap.
some cap stuff. Like that's the type of deal I could see us getting involved in. Maybe like late picks and low prospects being moved around, but I don't see anything major.
Yeah. All right. Well, that seems to be it for episode 51. Again, we thank you for sticking with us through 50 episodes. 51 now. It's been unreal. Yeah. And of course, we always have to give a shout out to TGEM, who hosts us on their website, so you can check us out there. You can also check out our YouTube channel if you don't. Spotify if you're on the YouTube, and vice versa. And
Apple
we're everywhere.
Podcasts as well.
Apple Podcast as well.
Yeah.
We also are on Instagram, Twitter, and shout out to Sports Food Women, who's a nice gentleman that I met while I was at the Toronto Maple Leafs game. Creates some good content. If you like ours, you'll love his. So go give it a watch, a listen. He's got an Instagram account, Sports Food Women. You'll find it under the Bitter Rivals on the Bitter Rivals page. We're following them. They follow us. So yeah. Thanks again, guys, and we'll talk to you next week.